Well, I think we're going to find out what exactly it means. It's likely the latest technology that you can find in Canada, the second largest wall that you can find in Canada. And when you walk in there and you see the motion picture productions that are coming to shoot here, or very interested in coming to shoot here, those are not $1 and $2 million productions. Those are $100 million productions. And I think at the end of the day, what it means to Regina and what it means to Saskatchewan is we have the latest technology you can find in this space. It's attracting some of the largest motion pictures that are looking for a place to shoot, and so it's going to provide us with the opportunity to build the industry right here in Regina, but more broadly across Saskatchewan as well, and provide yet additional opportunities for Saskatchewan, not just youth, but in particular youth.
Why was that important for government to want to be part of?
This is, an industry that I think is growing and has changed over the last number of years. How people get their media productions has changed over the last 5 or 6 years from, gone from not still in movie theaters and whatnot, but streaming is very, very different than what it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I can hardly run a computer, and I can even stream a movie now. So it most certainly has changed, and I think that has opened up the opportunities for this industry significantly, and opened up the opportunities for the John Hopkins Soundstage here and the government of Saskatchewan to participate and work very closely with the industry in building it out. And that's exactly what we're doing with about $12 million a year being invested in film production and through Creative Saskatchewan. We are building this industry out. It's creating jobs and it's creating opportunity. Again, that is only possible through the very basis of strength that we have in our broader Saskatchewan economy. This adds to the Saskatchewan economy, but it's through our natural resource-based economy that we're able to make these investments alongside industry, and then have industry really enhance what that investment means to Saskatchewan people. So we're pretty fortunate to be in this position in Regina at the John Hopkins Soundstage. Pretty fortunate to be in this position in our province.
Because there are those who are going to see this but still remember when the provincial government cut the tax.
Right. Yeah.
How do you square those two things?
Well, I think what we do is how you square those two is a number of different things. One, government has had much deeper conversations with the industry. There's an understanding that there is this broader economy across the province, and we want to invest in other industries that are diversifying our communities, want to invest in other industries that are creating economic growth in our communities, and this is an example of that. But again, I say that initial investment isn't always possible if you don't have the broader strength of the Saskatchewan economy, which is a natural resource export-based economy. And so we're proud of that economy, and we're proud of what we can do through the strength of that economy is invest in education and healthcare, our highways, but also invest in a better quality of life for people and additional jobs for people in this space as well. And I think the attraction of this private investment in this wall that's behind me, in excess of $10 million, is really significant as to the understanding that industry has of the commitment of the government of Saskatchewan, not only in supporting the growth of the industry, but in supporting the training of individuals that will work in this industry. And they're fairly qualified individuals that are going to be able to run this wall.
Anybody else have anything on the wall?
I guess I wanted to comment about the importance of this wall here to attracting movies, to attracting production. They must, really put Saskatchewan on the map.
Yeah, it's imperative. And credit to Karma and Volume Global. It does put Saskatchewan on the map. This is the most technologically advanced wall that you can find in the nation of Canada today. It's also the second largest. And so if you're looking at shooting a movie of some type that needs to utilize technology like this, you're looking at Regina, very much so. And so, we're very happy and thankful for the private investment in building this wall. We're also, I think, going to continue to work with industry so that we have that base level support so that the trained individuals are available to operate a wall like this for those $100 million productions that want to come to Regina, Saskatchewan to shoot, to ensure that they were in turn providing those jobs for ultimately largely Saskatchewan people in the film and video production industry. And so we're excited about where this is today. We think the conversation has changed over the course of the last number of years on so many fronts, and I think the future is bright.
Our system of grants or credits, whatever you want to call it, I guess it's grants, it's a little different than other provinces. If we get all these $100 million productions, obviously they're going to rely on something. Rely on credit. So I know it's kind of a fixed budget for Creative Saskatchewan right now. I don't think it can work.
And working with the industry on that as they arrive, but understanding that the scope of what we're attracting now with a wall like this being really unlike any other wall in the nation of Canada is changing. And so, the government is going to have to work with the industry to ensure that we're able to attract those films that are looking at investing $100 million over the course of the next number of years, as opposed to maybe films that were investing a fraction of that in the years gone by. And so it changes the landscape and really makes Regina one of the very central points in not only Canada, but I would say North America and even some awareness around the world. As I said, I first met Anand 4 or 5 years ago in Mumbai, India, which I think tells you of the global scope that this industry has and the global opportunity that Regina, Saskatchewan has now with this technology and people like Anand involved.
So you're willing to bring the dollars as on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to preempt the budget that's coming in a couple of days, but I think in this space there is an ongoing conversation about how do we ensure that we are attracting the largest and best movies that we can, and two is ensuring that we're working with the industry to understand when any provincial funding may have to flow, and what the quantum is. So working closely with the industry, which I'm thrilled to be able to say we're doing.
I'd like to move on to teachers. They made another announcement this morning. They're kind of upping their sanctions at this point. The one-day strike on Wednesday. What's your response?
Disappointing. We see, the teachers' union targeting hoopla, targeting ending this event that children and organizers have been working on for so long. And so I would say that's disappointing, and that a union would do that. They likely have spent more time working on how they're going to cancel this event than they have spent at the bargaining table over the course of the last 5 months. And so all of that is very, very disappointing. The government has consistently tried to find points of agreement as best we can with no one else at the bargaining table for the last number of months. Points of agreement like teachers want a voice. We've put in place a number of different pilot programs where teachers can pilot their own program that will improve the conditions in our classrooms. So we see asks around some of the health benefits that we have. We've seen the government trustee bargaining committee move in those spaces. We've seen calls for investment in our classrooms when it comes to complexity. We've seen the government respond with really significant announcement and unprecedented fashion of pulling forward one of our budget announcements, 15% increase in classroom support funding in this province. That's significant, and then have moved on to ensure that all Saskatchewan parents know that funding is going to be there for years into the future by signing a memorandum of understanding with the SSBA and more broadly 27 school division chairs. And so we're trying to ensure that the government is finding these points of collaboration as best we can to get the union back to the table, but to ensure that our kids can remain in their classroom, and so that our kids can remain participating in their extracurricular events. And so, in short, it's disappointing to see the teachers union make a decision targeting a student's extracurricular event like hoopla and closing it down.
So you're saying the union is targeting that, but the union has characterized it as your fault, the government's fault, that these things might be affected.
It's their decision. It's their decision to make. They don't have to shut down hoopla. They can make a decision not to shut down hoopla, and they can make a decision to come back to the bargaining table, and we respectfully would invite them to do so.
They did suggest finding arbitration.
Right, and after 30 minutes of bargaining in the last 5 months, I think there's more work that quite frankly, the teachers expect their union to do at the table more than 30 minutes in 5 months. I know parents expect more of the teachers union in 5 months than 30 minutes at the bargaining table. And I would say certainly students expect more of the teachers union over the course of the last 5 months. And I think the government does as well. And so we're waiting. We're sending out an invite weekly to the teachers union to respectfully ask them to return to the bargaining table. If there's conversations around our 15% increase in classroom supports, we can have those away from the bargaining table. That investment is going to flow through the locally elected school divisions. We're not going to give that to a provincial union. But there's a number of other points that I think we can find agreement on. We won't find agreement on a 23.5% increase. However, we're trying to find ways to even make that wage agreement palatable for teachers to ensure that they remain above the Western Canadian average years into the future like they are today. And so we won't meet a 23.5% increase. We're trying to meet all of the other points when it comes to investment in our classrooms, addressing some of the current concerns teachers have with health benefits and having a say and access to trying and trialing different programs in their classroom and providing funding for that. So it's really disappointing that we don't have a willing partner that will come to that table. Hasn't been there for more than 30 minutes in the last 5 months and is now targeting a children's basketball event and closing it down. So I would respectfully ask them to not make that decision, to allow the kids their extracurricular opportunities, to allow the kids to stay in school, return to the bargaining table, and let's start to find some points of agreement.
Are you worried that arbitration would side with the teachers, go against what you want?
I'm not concerned about arbitration at this point. What I'm concerned about is we have a union that won't come to the bargaining table and hasn't been there for more than 30 minutes in 5 months. Expectations in this province, whether it be teachers themselves who are paying the union members through their dues, whether it be parents and whether it be students or the government, expectations are that a bargaining unit would spend more than 30 minutes at any table over the course of 5 months.
Wouldn't arbitration kind of force the issue, though, get them to that table and want them to be at?
Arbitration would be premature after 30 months of bargaining. Why would a union, in this case a teachers union, that is specifically funded by the teachers, only choose to bargain for 30 minutes in 5 months? There's a number of different issues that we can find points of agreement on at the bargaining table. We likely have, in many cases, with respect to the investment that has been made, and one of the teachers union's major concerns, and I think more importantly teachers and parents' major concerns, is the investment that's going into our classrooms. We've been firm on that. We've made the investment, 15% increase this year when it comes to classroom supports. Where the difference of opinion is how those dollars are going to flow. We've said all along they're going to flow to school divisions, locally elected school divisions. They're going to allocate those dollars in their schools and in their classrooms, and we're not going to pull that away from school divisions and give it to a provincial union. If we were to do that, or if an arbitrator was in any way to do that, which I don't believe they would, why do you even have school divisions in the first place? Would be the question.
Okay, if it's not binding arbitration, what about mediation? What about bringing a mediator to?
We've been through a conciliation process. The conciliator's advice was for everyone to go back to the table. I would advise the teachers union to take the advice from the conciliator, because he's asked them to go back to the table and continue talking.
The STF plan told us in the front of the Legislative Assembly on Wednesday. What is your response about that?
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's where you can protest, and we see protests in front of the Legislative Assembly all the time. So that's fine. We'd rather them be in classrooms, teachers, and I think in fairness, the teachers would rather be in classrooms as well. Where we see a real challenge happening is not only missing that particular day of school, but where the teachers union is now starting to target specific extracurricular events and specific student events and closing those down. That's disappointing, and I think all Saskatchewan residents, whether it be parents, teachers themselves, or government, find that disappointing.
And on that same aspect, some parents are disappointed about the cancellation of some extracurricular activities and they're planning to protest in the front of the STF in Saskatoon. So what is your thought on that?
Well, that's precisely where, if parents do have an issue with, the shutting down of Hoopla, the targeting and shutting down of Hoopla by the union, the not having school on Wednesday due to a decision that is made by the union, or any of the other services that are being pulled by the union, being foisted upon the teachers, quite frankly, it's the STF that is making those decisions. We're at the bargaining table inviting them each and every week, and we ask them respectfully to return. The STF is who you need to call when it comes to asking them to return to the bargaining table, asking them to ensure that our children can remain in the classroom, and asking them for the opportunity for our children to be able to access extracurricular activities like Hoopla. Thank you, everybody.